I remember when I first started getting serious about success. And I mean really serious. Someone told me something that changed everything. They said, Jim, if you want to be wealthy, don't study poverty. That made me sit up straight. They said, study wealth, study success, study what the winners are doing, then do it. And that, my friends, is how the door opens. See, the people earning twice as much as you, they weren't born with it. They figured something out. They learned some disciplines, they practiced some new habits. And here's the kicker. If you do what successful people do, consistently, deliberately, you'll eventually get what they've got. It's not magic, it's not mystery. It's cause and effect. But you've got to be willing to study the cause. That's how you change the effect. Now let me ask you something simple but profound. What's your most valuable financial asset? Most people say, well, Jim, it's my house or it's my investments. Nope. Let me tell you what it really is. It's your earning ability. That's right. The thing that determines your future wealth is not your current bank balance or the size of your home. It's what you're able to produce in the marketplace. And here's the good news. Your earning ability is a skill. And if it's a skill, it means you can improve it. You can sharpen it. You can develop it. But only if you treat it that way, as an asset. Not something fixed, but something alive. Something you can grow. Now think about how long it's taken you to develop that asset. All the books you've read, the jobs you've held, the problems you've solved, the people you've learned from. All of that has been part of the process of building your earning ability. That's your gold mine. It's not outside of you. It's inside of you. And here's where the shift has to happen. Most folks don't think like that. They think earning ability is luck or location or some special chance. But those who win big, they treat their mind like prime real estate. They invest in it. They protect it. They improve it every day. That's the real wealth builder. Not what's in your wallet, but what's in your head. And let me tell you, once you know this, really know it, you've got no excuse. See, once the light comes on, you can't pretend to be in the dark. Now you've got to take responsibility for your own growth. And that means asking the tough questions. What am I learning today that improves my value in the marketplace? Who am I modeling? What skill am I refining? Because if you're not growing, you're falling behind. And in today's world, there's no standing still. But the good news, you're in control. You can read the books, listen to the tapes, seek the mentors, apply the lessons. And when you do, your earning ability, your most valuable asset, starts compounding, just like interest in a high yield account. But the interest isn't money, it's opportunity. It's freedom. It's choices. That's what you're building. There's something I've seen time and time again. People with talent, with opportunity, with great intentions, but no real commitment. They show up, but they don't show up. You know what I mean? They're there physically, but their heart's somewhere else. And I'll tell you this, success doesn't respond to half-hearted effort. It doesn't say, well, since you kind of want it, I'll give you a little piece of it. No, success comes to the fully engaged. The ones who say, I'm in, all in. You can't fake commitment. It shows up in your habits, your discipline, your results. If you're waiting to feel committed before you act committed, you're going to be waiting a long time. The top performers, they flip it. They act committed first, and the feelings follow. I remember hearing once that every great achievement is the triumph of enthusiasm. I like that. And you know what's better? It's true. When you meet someone who's enthusiastic about their work, their goals, their life, you can feel it. It's contagious. But enthusiasm doesn't come from doing easy things. It comes from doing the hard things, the necessary things, the meaningful things. And when you stack enough of those days together, the habit of excellence starts to form. Not perfection, excellence. That's different. Perfection is a burden. Excellence is a standard. And it begins the moment you say, this matters to me. I'm going to do this with care, with effort, with pride. That one decision can change everything. But here's what trips people up. The path of least resistance. Oh boy, it's tempting. You felt it. I felt it. We all have. Do what's easy, avoid what's hard. Show up late, leave early. Do just enough to not get fired. Let me tell you, that path leads to nowhere good. Because while you're looking for shortcuts, someone else is taking the stairs. And over time, they're going to lap you. Not because they're better, but because they're committed. That's the word again, commitment. It's the difference between dabbling and mastering, between average and excellent. And trust me, nobody stumbles into greatness. They walk into it. One disciplined step at a time. Let me give you something you can take to the bank. Self-discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. And that bridge has a toll. And that toll is consistency. Not once in a while, not just when you feel like it. Every day. Day in, day out. And here's the hard truth. If you don't pay the price of discipline today, you'll pay the price of regret tomorrow. That's a debt with interest. But if you get up, show up, and grow up, if you do what's necessary instead of what's easy, you'll build a life that feels right because you earned it. That's the beauty of commitment. Once you decide, really decide, you tap into a power most people never experience. You stop drifting and you start driving. That's when the real journey begins. Let me ask you something. Have you found the work that lights you up? The kind of work where the hours fly by and the energy builds, not drains? Because let me tell you, the most successful people I've met, they weren't dragged to the top. They ran there. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. They found something they could pour themselves into. Heart, mind, body, soul. And when you find that kind of work, the kind that resonates with who you are and who you want to be, commitment becomes easy. You don't need to be pushed, you're pulled. That's how you know you're in the right lane, when the work becomes the reward. You see, there was a study done on self-made millionaires. Real ones, people who started with nothing. They found that almost all of them had one thing in common. They loved what they did. They weren't just clocking in. They weren't faking it to make it. They picked a lane, specialized in it, got really good at it. And then they stuck with it. And one day, almost by surprise, they looked up and realized, I'm wealthy. But they didn't chase the money, they chased mastery. And that's the difference. The money came as a byproduct of excellence, not as the goal itself. I remember a story of a man who started out cleaning toilets on the night shift. You know what he did? He cleaned those toilets like they were marble floors in a palace. He showed up early, stayed late, never complained. 35 years later, he was the president of the airline he started scrubbing for, earning over $1 million a year. Now people see the result and call it luck. But I'll tell you, that wasn't luck. That was intention. That was discipline. That was someone who said, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it like it matters. And it did matter. Because work done with care and commitment turns ordinary into extraordinary. And if you're an employer, a leader, a manager, take this to heart. One person on your team without commitment is like a rotten apple in the barrel. It infects everything. But someone who's all in, someone who shows up early, works late, and owns their results. You can build an empire on that. So if you're working for someone else, be loyal. Give your best. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. That's how you build a name. That's how you build a future. Loyalty is rare these days, but it's still a premium quality in any field. When you become the kind of person who gives their best regardless of who's watching, trust me, people start watching. And they remember your name. Now let's talk about something that doesn't always sound glamorous. But oh, it works. It's called hard work. Yeah, I said it. Not hustle, not shortcuts, not some magic app. Just plain old-fashioned, head down, sleeves rolled up hard work. You see, the people who make it big, who rise to the top, they aren't floating there by luck or charm. They work. And not just when it's convenient or when inspiration strikes. No, they've got a rhythm, a grind, a work ethic that makes them stand out in any room. There's a formula I call the 40 formula. It says you work 40 hours a week for survival, and everything beyond 40. That's for success. If you only put in 40, you're just keeping your head above water. You're paying the bills, maybe staying afloat, but you're not getting ahead. Success begins after the clock hits 5.00. It's those extra hours. The study, the reflection, the planning, the extra calls, the early mornings, that shape your future. Now don't misunderstand. This isn't about burnout. This is about investment. Investing in you, in your skills and your goals and the life you said you wanted. Want to know what the average self-made millionaire works per week? About 59 hours, some clock in 70 or more. And not because someone's cracking the whip, but because they've chosen a path that demands more. And they rise to it. They're at the office before the lights come on, and they're still there after they go off. That doesn't make them better. It makes them committed. It makes them deliberate. It makes them people who've understood the math of success. Input equals outcome. Now, don't just be there. Work while you're there. That's another one of those Jim Rohn gems. Work all the time you work. Not half-hearted effort. Not distracted time checking your phone. Not long coffee chats in the break room. No, when you're at work, put your head down and deliver. Be the one who gets results. Be the one who finishes. When your colleagues are reading the newspaper or chasing gossip, you're creating value. You're producing, you're becoming invaluable. And let me tell you, the people who can help you, the ones who open doors and write checks and make decisions, they notice that. They notice hustle. They notice integrity. And they reward it. So make a new decision today. Decide to be the hardest working person in your company, your team, your field. That decision alone will separate you from the pack faster than almost anything else. Success isn't just about talent or luck. It's about consistent, focused, determined action. And you can start any day you choose. Why not today? Now, let me tell you something that changed my life. And it might just change yours too. It's called the law of accumulation. And here's how it works. Every great success you've ever admired, every fortune, every reputation, every skill, it wasn't built overnight. It wasn't one giant leap that changed everything. It was 1,000 little efforts, quiet efforts, unseen, uncelebrated efforts. And those efforts added up over time, created something extraordinary. See, most people are waiting for that big break, the lightning bolt, the miracle moment. But let me tell you, that's not how success is usually delivered. It's delivered one step at a time, one effort at a time, one improvement at a time. I call it incremental improvement. It means you commit to getting just a little bit better. Each day, each week, each project, each conversation. And that steady progress, done consistently, compounds into mastery. That's why I always say, if you want to get on the fast track, start with you. Not the economy, not your boss, not your lucky break. Just you. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. You want to change your income, change your input, want to change your future. Upgrade your skill set. Because here's the truth. Your success will almost always be in direct proportion to your practical knowledge. Not just knowledge for the sake of knowing things. I'm talking about useful knowledge, applicable knowledge. The kind of knowledge that solves problems, creates results, and adds value to the people around you. People ask me all the time, Jim, what separates the top folks from the average? It's not always intelligence or charm. It's how much they know. It's the edge that comes from knowing more than most people in their field. And the good news, you can gain that edge. You can study, you can read, you can listen, you can attend. And every hour you do is like adding gold to your vault of value. Here's the thing though. Knowledge doesn't stand still. It leaks. It gets old. It becomes obsolete. So if you stop learning, you don't stay where you are. You actually start to fall behind. That's why you need to keep filling your bucket. Keep upgrading your mind, keep growing. Because if you do, not only will you stay relevant, you'll rise. You'll be the one people go to, the one they trust, the one they pay. And it doesn't take magic. It takes commitment to the process. Small, smart, steady effort over time. That's the real secret. Don't underestimate the power of today's actions. Because every book, every lesson, every hour you invest, it's stacking bricks on your foundation. And one day you'll look up and realize you've built something remarkable. Now let's talk about something that separates the good from the great and the great from the extraordinary. And that's what you feed your mind. You see, your mind is like a garden. It's going to grow something. But whether it grows weeds or roses, well, that depends on you. And the best way to grow a garden of wisdom, of value, of insight, simple. Read 1 hour a day. That's it. 1 quiet hour each day with a good book. Not gossip, not fluff, not social scrolls. But something solid, something that feeds your goals. You give yourself that 1 hour a day, and in a matter of time, you'll become an expert. In 3 years, people will start to see it. In 5 years, you'll be a national authority. You'll know more, think clearer, act wiser, and earn more. Just from reading. It's one of the greatest habits you can build, and it costs you nothing but time. And yet it can buy you a future. Now, don't tell me you don't have time. The average adult has 72 discretionary hours a week. That's after work, after sleep. The question is, how many of those hours are you investing? And how many are you spending? If you invested just 7 of those hours, 10% of your free time, into reading material that builds you up, you'd read 50 books a year. Imagine where your mind would be after 500 books in a decade. You'd be a walking library of value. And value always attracts opportunity. And not just books. Grab the trade magazines, the key publications in your industry. Stay sharp. Stay informed. Know what the best know, and you'll soon stand where the best stand. And if a magazine, a subscription, a blog doesn't move you closer to your goals, cancel it. Cancel the noise and invest in the signal. Feed the mind what it needs to grow. And while we're at it, don't waste your drive time. Turn your car into a university on wheels. Listen to audio programs that stretch your thinking, build your skills, sharpen your edge. The average driver spends between 500 to 1,000 hours behind the wheel each year. That's up to 6 months of full-time work. Why not turn that time into training? Every great achiever I've met was a student long before they were a success. They didn't wait for life to hand them wisdom. They went out and got it. They attended seminars, took notes, asked questions, found mentors, and kept showing up with an open mind and a hungry heart. So here's your edge. Read daily, listen daily, learn daily. Because the one who knows more does more. And the one who does more earns more. It's not just personal growth, it's professional strategy. Want to get paid more, be worth more. And how do you become worth more? You grow. That's the path. That's the Jim Rohn way. And that's your ticket to the top. Let me share a little principle that'll either build your future or break it, depending on how seriously you take it. It's this. You become like the people you spend the most time with. The books you read, the ideas you hear, the people you listen to. They're shaping your future even when you don't realize it. And if you're not intentional about who you let influence you, you're leaving your life up to chance. That's why I say go where the learning is rich. Get around the right people. Join the associations in your field. Attend their meetings, not just for the speakers, although they'll bring you gold, but for the people you meet during the coffee breaks, the ones who are doing what you want to do, living how you want to live, winning where you want to win. Listen to them. Learn from them. Ask them what they're doing. Ask them what they've stopped doing. See, it's not always about a big breakthrough. Sometimes it's just one new idea, one tweak, one fresh perspective that opens up the next chapter in your life. And where do you find those ideas? You find them by getting out among them. I call it unwa, get up, get out, get among the winners. When you surround yourself with people who are doing more, achieving more, thinking more, it rubs off. Their standards become your standards. Their ambition pushes your ambition higher. Their success becomes proof that it can be done. And here's something else. Take notes. Always, don't trust your memory. That's a short pencil beats a long memory. When you're sitting in a seminar or listening to a speaker, write things down. Don't just sit there passively. Ideas are slippery. They'll escape if you don't trap them. A single idea captured at the right moment can add thousands to your income or change your direction entirely. And I'll tell you this, the best don't stop learning. Even when they're on top, they still attend seminars. They still read. They still ask questions. They stay hungry. Because they know the moment they stop feeding their mind, they start falling behind. So don't isolate yourself in your own little bubble. Get out, network, shake hands with the future. You're not just collecting contacts. You're collecting perspective. And sometimes perspective is more powerful than a paycheck. Success leaves clues. It always does. And if you hang around the right people long enough, take notes, pay attention, ask better questions, you'll start to follow those clues. And soon they'll lead you to your own version of success. Let me ask you something. If you had an extra 2 hours a day, what would you do with it? Most people haven't even thought about it. But let me tell you, those extra 2 hours are already there. They're just being eaten up by distractions, delays, and decisions that don't matter. And if you could learn the skill of reclaiming them, just imagine. 10 extra hours a week, 500 hours a year? That's the edge right there. You see, the people who rise, the ones who build something meaningful, they understand this principle. Work all the time you work. That's it. It's not fancy, it's not complicated, but it's powerful. When it's time to work, don't meander. Don't multitask. Don't wander around the office like it's a coffee shop. When you get in, get to it. Put your head down and move the needle. Most people think they work 40 hours a week. Truth, closer to 30, maybe 25 productive hours. And that's the difference maker. That gap between what they think they're doing and what they're really doing, that's why most stay stuck. But if you want to stand out, here's what you do. You close that gap. You work while you're at work. No wasted minutes, no drifting, just focus, discipline, and follow through. Now, I love what I call the 40+ formula. You work 40 hours a week to survive, but it's the hours after 40 that lead to success. That's when the magic happens. Study, strategize, build, grow. That's the after-hours edge. That's when the champions separate themselves from the crowd. And what about this word? Procrastination, the silent thief. It steals your dreams a few minutes at a time. Every time you say, I'll do it later, you're making a small trade, long-term gain for short-term comfort. And after a while, that comfort turns into regret. Don't let that be your story. You want a simple tool that changes the game. Start every day with this question. If I could only do one thing today, just one, that would make the biggest difference, what would it be? Then do that thing. Don't delay it, don't overthink it. Just start. That one move done consistently will double your results, triple your confidence, and change the entire trajectory of your life. And remember, success is not about speed. It's about direction. Every day you spend doing what matters most, even if it's only for a few extra focused hours, adds up. That's the law of accumulation. That's the law of incremental improvement. Day by day, task by task, you start stacking wins. And one day someone calls you lucky, but you know better. You built it. one disciplined hour at a time. So here's your final word from Jim. Guard your time. Respect your work. Master your habits. Because if you do, there's no limit to what you can build, become, and give.